Okay, so you requested it. I made it. After 7 days of on and off grinding on this account, I could finally test out knight builds. It took me a long time to choose a fitting name for my female knight, so please drop a like and subscribe, for Jefferson's sake. It'll help the channel, and if it goes really well, I might be able to pay my electric bill. So there's only really 2 swords in the game at the moment, so it's kind of really just an easy choice. And there's a big difference. And you can definitely go wrong choosing one over the other, so stick to the end. Okay, so currently there's only 2 ways to build your knight. You can either go Augie Knight, or be a support tank knight. Either way, you can't go wrong with these 2 builds, as you can always switch between DPS and tank roles with just a few clicks.
May you brave your journey with a pure
please
heart.
leave a comment below if you think I should test out spears.
Courage will illuminate you.
Or if you would like me to try other job classes.
If you're finding it difficult
Now back
beat
to the
monsters,
test.
don't forget to refine your...
So let me show you the 2 swords that we will be testing today. Nagon and Veteran Sword. Here are their stats and effects. For the sake of testing, I will not be adding cards or Virus cores and will only be using a level 1 pet. Refinements will also be transferred, so all damage test is using an 8 refinement of either swords, and we'll be using this stats for all damage tests, except for tank build. The first one that we will be testing is Veteran Sword, Bowling Bash build. We will be maxing out our Bowling Bash and Sword Quicken. We have some points to spare, so we'll be putting that towards Cavalry Mastery. You can play around with your first job skills if you want to have Max Bash and Fatal Blow. Let's start the test. For max DPS, I kept normal attacks in auto, so we have hits in between casting skills. Because Bowling Bash has a delay of 1 second. Now you might think that I have virtually 0 dex, and dex lowers Bowling Bash's cast time, but at 50 dex, it'll only trim 0.02 second of cast time, and it really just feels the same with 0 dex. We're getting around 3,300 DPS. Here's our total damage dealt in 1 minute. The next skill build that we're testing is Bash Vanguard Force. We're using the same stats and 8 Veteran Sword. We will be maxing out Vanguard Force, Sword Quicken, Bash, and Fatal Blow. The rest of your first job points can go towards Endure or increase recovery. Vanguard Force can only be casted after accumulating charges via Bash and normal attacks. So it really helps to have very high attack speed when using this skill for max DPS. It would also make sense to have no shield, as that will increase your attack speed by a lot. We are getting around 8,200 DPS. Here's our total damage dealt in 1 minute. Next up is our tank build. For this test, our stats will be 30 Augie and 80 Vit. we will max out Sturdy Strike and ideally Lion's Roar. But we're going for DPS here, so we'll just be using normal attacks and Sturdy Strike for this test. This wouldn't be normally how you would play a Tank Knight, but if you're curious on the auto skills for dedicated Tank Knight, it's Sturdy Strike, Lion's Roar, and Provoke. This should get you all the hatred from the monsters around you. We're getting around 4,000 DPS. By the way, for some reasons, with or without Provoke, damage is the same on the dummy, so I'm not using it. Here's the total damage dealt in 1 minute. Now, we're switching to the next weapon, Nagon. We have the refinement transferred and using the same of everything for this test. We've switched back to Augie build. And same skill sets. We're getting around 3,900 DPS. Total damage dealt in 1 minute. Next up is Bash and Vanguard Force. Of course, we're using the same skills and stats. Have you noticed the difference in attack speeds? Nagon has bonus attack speed increase of 8%. And on top of that, it is a one-hand sword. With Sword Quicken, it has over 60% more attack speed than Veteran Sword. We are getting around 9,000 DPS. Here's the total damage dealt in 1 minute. Last test is Nagon with Sturdy Strike. Now, remember earlier when I told you that you can go seriously wrong with the two swords? Well, this is it. Now look closely. As you can see, Veteran Sword is a two-hand weapon. Unlike Nagon, you cannot equip shields if you're using a two-hand sword like Veteran Sword. And it doesn't really make sense to use two-hand swords at the moment because Sword Quicken actually works on both one-hand and two-hand swords. Which is why Nagon is better because it has way faster attack speed and you can switch to a tank role without needing to equip another weapon because you can equip a shield with it. Here's our total damage dealt in 1 minute. So, based on the numbers, Nagon is better than Veteran's sword. I was really surprised as well because I did not expect a huge difference in attack speeds between one-hand and two-hand swords. I hope this is helpful in deciding between the two swords. Please leave a like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, so I can finally pay my electric bills. See you on the next one.